You are not as independent in your thinking as you believe, and if that sentence irritated you even a little, that reaction is exactly where this starts. Because influence doesn't announce itself. It doesn't argue with you. It doesn't ask permission. It slips in quietly, at moments when your guard is already down, when you're tired, distracted, bored, or scrolling, just to feel something move. Think about this. You open your phone. You're not searching for answers. You're killing time. A headline flashes past. A reel, a tweet. The tone feels right, confident, familiar. It matches your mood perfectly. You don't pause to evaluate it, you nod. Maybe you smirk. Maybe you feel a small rush of agreement. By the time you realize you agree, the thought already feels like yours. That's the trap. Influence doesn't work by changing your mind. It works by arriving before your mind wakes up. Before skepticism. Before analysis. It settles into the gaps, the moments where thinking feels like effort and agreement feels easy. You don't adopt ideas because they're true. You adopt them because they fit. Fit your emotional temperature. Fit your existing frustration. Fit the story you already half believed. And once an idea lands without resistance, something dangerous happens next. Your brain starts protecting it. Notice how fast irritation appears when someone challenges a belief you just know is right. You don't feel curious, you feel annoyed. Defensive. Slightly superior. That emotion didn't come from logic, it came from attachment. Your mind isn't neutral, it's efficient. It prefers certainty over accuracy. Familiarity over truth. Completion over complexity. So when a suggestion offers a clean explanation, a clear enemy, a simple cause, a neat conclusion, your nervous system relaxes. The world feels ordered again. That relief is addictive. And here's the uncomfortable part most people avoid. Once you feel that relief, you stop questioning the idea, not because it's correct, but because questioning it would reopen uncertainty. So you scroll past opposing views faster. You dismiss nuance as overthinking. You confuse emotional certainty with intelligence. At that point, influence no longer needs to push you. You push yourself. You don't say, I think this. You say, people like me know this. And now the idea isn't just a thought, it's identity. Letting go wouldn't feel like changing your mind. It would feel like losing control. That's why influence is so effective. Not because you're weak, but because your mind is designed to conserve energy, reduce tension, and protect coherence. The real danger isn't that ideas enter your mind. It's that they arrive early, feel natural, and recruit you to defend them before you ever chose them. And if that realization feels uncomfortable, good. That discomfort is the last line of defense before the trap fully closes. By the time influence has taken hold, you are no longer choosing. You are explaining. You tell yourself the decision was yours. The thought emerged naturally. The reasoning is sound. Walk into your living room after a long day and notice how you scroll through headlines, liking, commenting, arguing, all while your brain quietly accepts the framing it was fed minutes ago. That irritation you feel at the headline is the proof you needed, but instead of questioning it, your mind whispers, I'm being reasonable. Explanation feels like control. It feels like freedom. And that's exactly the trap. It doesn't stop at digital feeds. Think about the last time a friend pushed an opinion you didn't initially share. Maybe you argued for it. Maybe you convinced yourself it made sense. That act of justification wasn't debate. It was participation. Influence doesn't push. It invites. It waits for fatigue, distraction, or subtle emotional nudges. Then, it arrives dressed as your own insight, and your brain, ever efficient, repairs the story so you feel in command. You narrate the choice, collect evidence, filter contradictions. You justify without realizing the cage you've built around your thinking. And here's the cruelest part. Your identity protects it. Admitting you were swayed would mean admitting vulnerability. You pride yourself on independence, critical thinking, discernment. Now imagine your mind quietly asking, was that thought truly mine, or did I defend it because it was planted? You don't stop to answer. Instead, you double down. You polish the narrative. You become articulate about positions you didn't consciously choose. You explain, you defend, and in doing so, you propagate the influence for free, convinced it's your own. This is the moment most people never see. You are no longer observing, you are performing the influence from the inside. It becomes self-sustaining. Every agreement, every rationalization, every "I thought this anyway" moment reinforces the cage. And yet, your mind congratulates you for clarity, for discernment, for insight. Meanwhile, the suggestion lives in defaults, in patterns you carry effortlessly, in choices that feel inevitable because you've internalized them. So stop asking who convinced you. That question is comfortable. Ask something sharper instead. Which belief am I defending so fiercely that curiosity has no room to breathe? Picture it, the next conversation, the next argument, the next headline you consume. Watch how quickly your mind steps in to narrate, justify, and protect. That's the signal. That's the moment influence isn't just present, it's running the show, and you are already defending it. You think you notice the currents around you, but most of the time you're only seeing shadows. The subtle nudges, the timing of someone's tone, the pauses that feel natural, they're all part of a system shaping your thoughts before you even know they exist. And now, it's not just whispers. It's the group, the network, the environment you move through every day. Every interaction reinforces patterns you think are yours. You nod in a meeting. You like a post online. You laugh at a joke. You explain your agreement to yourself afterward. Each small act feels autonomous, but it's reinforcement. You're training yourself to stay inside invisible lines you didn't draw. This is where the trap tightens. The comfort you feel in conformity isn't safety. It's self-suppression disguised as prudence. That sense of "I am reasonable" is the illusion's final flourish. You justify your alignment. It makes sense, I agree. But influence has already done its work. A friend's comment, a headline, a trending opinion, they cascade through your mind, and your brain, trained to favor coherence, amplifies them. You repeat them, defend them, rationalize them. Participation doesn't feel coercive, it feels normal, inevitable, human. And the more you participate, the less you realize you're being guided. Watch closely how it shows up. That micro pause before you speak, the sudden urge to reframe your opinion after hearing others. The mental checklist that reviews whether your reaction is socially safe. These are invisible signals you've learned to read, yet they're controlling your behavior. You don't feel trapped. You feel informed, aligned, competent. But the truth is, the alignment is scripted by forces you aren't noticing. The very act of defending your thoughts is the mechanism of influence. Every explanation you construct, every justification you offer, is a chain link in the system holding you in place. Ask yourself, how often are you explaining yourself before even realizing you've been influenced? How many choices are rehearsed by unseen hands? The ideas you believe are independent are often rehearsed scripts. The identity you protect, the one who is rational, discerning, fair, is negotiating constantly with invisible currents. You're not outside the system. You're inside it. You participate, you defend, you rationalize, and the more you do, the deeper the trap embeds itself. You are invested before you even recognize it. The question is no longer whether influence exists. The question is how many of your thoughts, your reactions, your beliefs are already shaped by it. And what will you do when you realize just how thoroughly it has arrived? You think influence is happening somewhere out there. The truth is, it's already inside you, living in your body long before it reaches your thoughts. That hesitation before you speak, the way your posture tightens when someone disagrees, the subtle shift in tone to match the room. These are not conscious choices. They are signals you're giving without realizing it, tiny agreements that confirm the rules you didn't choose. And you defend them. You call them social intelligence, emotional tact, even self-discipline. But in reality, each adjustment is a quiet act of submission. Your skill is being used against you. Look at your day-to-day. You want to respond honestly in a group chat, but you wait. You want to challenge an idea at work, but you soften it. You scroll social media and feel tension rise with every headline, every comment that doesn't align with the majority. Your emotional temperature rising or falling without your consent. You justify your reactions, narrate them for yourself, convince yourself it's rational. And the truth? It isn't. It's influence, and your mind has already agreed to it. You are participating while believing you are observing. It's in these micro moments where the real cost shows. Every time you restrain your curiosity, every time you swallow an instinct because it feels too much, a part of you narrows. Your identity, once fluid, begins to ossify. Your desires become muted. Opportunities for connection slip past because you're constantly negotiating how much of yourself is allowed to exist. You don't notice at first, these are small, almost invisible compromises, but they accumulate. Each one is a tiny erosion of who you could be. You're already paying the price, and most days, you never realize it. You've felt it without naming it. That tension in your chest when laughter feels too loud. That pause before sharing a bold thought. The way your instincts tell you to stay in line even when it's unnecessary. These aren't quirks. They are the physical trace of influence, proof that your independence was never absolute. You are skilled at navigating the world, but every skill has a cost, and this one is your autonomy. And now, consider this. The longer you stay unaware, the more permanent the imprint becomes. This isn't hypothetical. It's your posture, your tone, your reactions, your suppressed impulses shaping you every day. You aren't just influenced, you are being sculpted from within. And until you notice it, the life you think you're living is quietly being narrowed, one micro-choice at a time. You can feel it now, the tension you've been holding in your body, the pulse in your chest, the small hesitation before every word. All those micro-resistances, tiny acts of defiance, have been teaching something vital, that you are not just a participant in the currents around you. You are a node of control, capable of steering influence instead of being steered. And yet, this realization is not soft. It lands heavy. Every suppressed instinct, every quiet concession you've made over the years, rises like a tide, demanding acknowledgement. The weight is uncomfortable, almost intolerable, but it is proof of life, proof that you were never meant to follow blindly. Now, you start noticing the architecture of influence itself. It's everywhere and nowhere. It's in the cadence of a conversation, the rhythm of scrolling, the implied rules that shape social behavior. But this is no longer a threat. Every micro-step you've taken, raising your hand, speaking first, refusing the easy compliance, has built a barrier. And this barrier isn't just resistance. It's sovereignty. Your posture, your gaze, your timing, they become tools of clarity, not weapons of survival. You begin to inhabit your body fully, owning the space you occupy. The nervous system that once obeyed currents by default now answers only to your intent. And here's the confrontation you've been avoiding. Influence does not yield silently. People, systems, habits, they push back. That discomfort is necessary. That tension is evidence you are alive inside the trap. And in that resistance, something extraordinary emerges: presence. Not the quiet, unnoticed kind, but a presence that bends the environment subtly around you, that shifts the room without force, that shapes outcomes by your attention, your timing, your choice. Each act, each hesitation broken, compounds. The currents that once swept you along now ripple under your control. But don't mistake this for perfection. The challenge is relentless. Old reflexes flare. Familiar patterns tempt. Moments of doubt loom. That's the point. Influence is not gone. It's been acknowledged, named, and now it's accountable. Every act of deliberate engagement, every refusal to obey by default, hammers the walls of the invisible cage you've lived inside. Step by step, thought by thought, you assert yourself. And the payoff is unmistakable. Your attention, your body, your choices, once instruments of submission, are now instruments of sovereignty. And finally, the full circle closes. All the small revolts, every micro-resistance, every moment of conscious defiance accumulates into an unshakable force. Influence no longer touches you without your invitation. The room bends around your clarity. The currents move where you decide. And in that space, finally, unmistakably, irreversibly, you are free. You feel it in the pause before you speak, in the subtle tightening in your chest, in the rhythm of your own breathing. Every moment you chose to act deliberately instead of reflexively has compounded into something undeniable. A presence that the world no longer moves without your consent. The nervous system that once obeyed default patterns now waits for your signal. Conversations slow. Interruptions fade. People hesitate because the tension you carry is deliberate, controlled, unyielding. This is not just awareness. This is the body recalibrated, the mind recalibrated. The environment itself noticing that you no longer participate unconsciously. And here's the confrontation you've been avoiding. Influence doesn't disappear. Old reflexes flare. Familiar comforts whisper. The urge to comply, to rationalize, to justify, it is always there. That discomfort, that tiny tightening in your chest, is proof you are alive inside the trap. But it is also proof that you are capable of mastery. You act within it. You feel within it. You move within it. Each deliberate choice, speaking first, laughing fully, holding silence, registers not as rebellion, but as presence. Your body knows. Your mind knows. The currents around you bend subtly, inevitably, to the person who refuses default. This is sovereignty as responsibility. It is not perfection. You will stumble, hesitate, and be tested. Friends, colleagues, the room itself will press against you, seeking the old reflexes. That tension is necessary. It marks where influence tries to reclaim you. You do not push. You do not force. You inhabit the space fully. You let the environment meet the person you are deciding to be. Every moment of conscious choice compounds, and the system that once shaped you now waits. Waits for your consent. And here is the truth that unsettles. You are no longer participating passively. You cannot unknow this state. The small acts that once seemed inconsequential have built a structure in which influence itself must negotiate with you. You have trained your mind and body to move deliberately, to feel fully, to resist defaults. But the freedom that comes with this awareness is irreversible. The you who obeyed reflexively will not return, and the system that shaped you will no longer run you quietly. Presence has become your environment. Influence has become your instrument. And the cost of returning to the old patterns, silent compliance, unconscious participation, is no longer optional. You've just seen how influence moves through every decision, every hesitation, every word you don't speak. You've felt it in your body, in your chest, in your pulse. And now you know, the world doesn't wait for permission. It waits for compliance. So here's my question for you. Where in your life are you still moving unconsciously? Which moments, conversations, or choices are shaping you without your consent? Think about it. And if one line in this video made you pause, comment it below. I want to see which insight hit hardest. If you're ready to stop being quietly shaped by the currents around you and start using them intentionally, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because every video here will show you how to notice, resist, and reclaim the power you didn't even realize was slipping past your mind. And remember, influence doesn't stop. But neither should your awareness. Step into it. Question everything. Make the next move deliberate.